and welcome back to another video with me, Shruti. You're watching Living Our Ascension. So this is the first video that I'm making, outside at the beach, because this is where I live. Like, I live very close to this beach, but I didn't have a microphone before this, and I wasn't able to shoot, here because it's so windy. But I hope that the sound will be fine. This is my first video with this microphone, and in this video I want to speak a little bit about being grounded, because when I work privately with some clients, many of them had the same concern, and especially for those who have been on the spiritual path for a long time. They said that they've tried many things when it comes to grounding, to ground themselves, and they still have troubles. So that's why this video is something like what to do when nothing works when it comes to spiritual grounding. And before we get into that, I have two quick announcements, and even though they're quick, they're very important. And the first one is that it's my birthday on 9th October, which is on Monday. And so because of that, I've been guided to offer discounts in all of my personal services. So there's like this huge discount that's going on. If you order any one service from me, I have different kinds of services, like Skype Sessions and higher guidance channeling, and even some art-based services like higher self portraits, like Galactic Portraits. But you can read all of that in my blog, and the link for that will be below. But if you order any one service in this month, in the month of October, you get 50% off on another service, and that can be any service of your choice that is of the same value or less. And this is perhaps, I think it's the biggest discount that I've offered. So yeah, please check it out. The link will be below to my blog. And then the second announcement that I have is that on the 14th of October, again this month, which is the coming Saturday, I'm actually going to be hosting a free event on this very beach. It's a guided meditation. There's all of these birds that are flying, and the meditation has to do with earth healing. So we're going to get together with a certain intention of raising the vibration. And I think this is very important now, for us, for light workers and people who are choosing Ascension, for them to get together and to create a certain vibration. Because when we do some light work just on our own, that's at one level and it's really good. But when there's more than one that comes together, it really, the potential, it multiplies, and it becomes much more than one individual can accomplish on their own. And so, I've been guided to put these things out there, and we'll see what comes of it. So if you live in the San Francisco Bay Area, then, check out this event, and I hope that you'll make it. Again, the link for that will be below this video in the description, so just check there. Okay, so now moving on to the subject. So when it comes to grounding, first, I want to explain very quickly what it even means. And different people have, different opinions of what they think grounding is, whether it's really building your roots on the ground or, various kind of things. But quite simply, all that it means is that we are connected with our inner feeling realm, and we are always living it, we're always aware of it. And then when we do that, then this sensuality takes over, this higher sensuality, and we are able to live through that inner sense in the outer as well. And that is when there's this, we were always in the state of joy and purity and bliss. And these are what we are in truth, these are soul essences: joy, purity, love. This is what we are. And when we are not feeling grounded, what's happening is that we are attaching to something else. Often, very often, they're emotions and thoughts. And these are, of course, more on the surface level. But the moment that we, are able to penetrate through these thoughts and emotions, we're just able to hold space for them. suddenly we find ourselves moving into the core, and the core is what we are. So this exercise that I'm going to explain, it's actually, it might need some explaining, but it's actually quite simple when you do it, so just bear with me. And when you do it, if you do it regularly, you should be able to connect with your core. And the best place to do it is out in nature, because this is where we feel the most grounded, where life force is thriving. Because in other spaces, like inside our homes and offices, of course, there's too much accumulation of human energy, of human thoughts and those patterns. And when we are not feeling grounded, it also has to do with that. Things that we are attaching to on our own, through our own patterns that we have created, but also what's in the collective, the mass consciousness and the thoughts of humans, and what we are creating with that, that can have a lower energy. So when you come into a place of nature, and it doesn't have to be a full-fledged beach like this, if you don't live near one, and if you do, if you live near any nature space, then make sure to go there, for example, for me, I have to come out into nature every single day. And even if you have just 5 minutes, and the exercise that I'm going to share with you is actually just 5 minutes, so I know that anyone can take out 5 minutes from their day to do this, and just be devoted to doing that. Okay, so now we're moving on to the actual exercise, and the first point is this exercise. And find yourself a place like this in nature, like the one that you see in front of you. I'm at a beach, and find a place that is where you won't be disturbed and where you feel safe, because you have to close your eyes as part of this exercise for a good 5 minutes. Once you've found that space, just sit down very peacefully, and just connect to everything that's around you. For example, now I'm sitting here, and there's the water, there's sand, and the sun is shining. So there's all of these beautiful aspects of nature around me for me to connect with. And when I'm sitting down, I close my eyes, and I just soak all of that in with all of my senses. So for example, when I close my eyes, maybe the first thing is that I hear the ocean, and I want you to move into your heart, deep into the heart space, and whatever you are feeling, give that feeling a name. So when you are listening to the sound of the ocean, how does it feel? So for example, for me, perhaps the first word that comes up, for example, it might even be fear, because and then when you go deeper, okay, fear, then you go deeper into that fear without trying to change it. You just hold space for it and allow it to show you, reveal itself to you. And you will see that when you move deeper into the heart, it'll show you why. And perhaps the next word that I get is vastness. I come back to that space of the ocean, and I feel, because it's so vast, it's much bigger than me. So the next word after fear that I have come to, that I acknowledge, is vastness. And perhaps, the moment that I say the word vast, my whole body, my consciousness will feel that vastness. So whether you feel fear because of that vastness, or you feel a sense of expansion because your consciousness is expanding in the body, that's up to you. But you will have moved into that vastness. So you're moving deeper into the core of your heart through this. And then perhaps when you bring yourself back to the ocean again, and you connect deeper, go deeper and deeper into the heart, and how it makes you feel. Maybe the next word that comes up is infinity, because it's vast, and it's like infinity is vast like that. And perhaps the next word that comes up is consciousness, because it's consciousness that is so expansive, just like the ocean. And how does that make you feel? Then further, when you move in, perhaps the word that comes up is majestic and infinite. So that's one example. And And then you can continue, again, the next thing that you feel after you're done with this, then I'm also feeling the sunshine on my face. So the sunshine that I feel, it feels, when I go into my heart, it feels warm. And so the first word that I get is warmth. How does this warmth make me feel? It makes me feel a sense of comfort. So the next word that I get is comfort. When I move further into this comfort and the feeling of this sunshine on my face, it feels fulfilling. I feel fulfilled. And then perhaps when I move further into that sense of fulfillment, then I feel just this joy that I am. Because when we feel fulfilled, that only happens when we are in a complete state of joy. And joy is what we are. So you see, again, we have hit that core. All of these soul essences, for example, love, joy, purity, bliss, abundance, you can say that they are soul essences. So when you hit one of them, that shows that you have moved into the very core of what you are. And now nothing else is left. All of those surface things that we were attaching to, those emotions, different kinds of emotions, we have moved past them and we have moved into the core. And so our cells are remembering what we are, and this is the state of complete groundedness. And then once we open our eyes, once we have this feeling, and we've done this exercise for a good 5 minutes, and we open our eyes, then you will actually see those things in front of you with your physical eyes. So you see the ocean and you see the sun, and then you might find that you have a new connection with these aspects of nature as well, because you have touched the very core of what they are. So when I look at the ocean, I feel infinity, and it's like a sea of consciousness. So that is the relationship I have with it, and that's what I'll be feeling, this consciousness that I am, that the sea is as well. And there's what you will be left with is just a sense of overwhelming oneness with everything. And it's the same with the sun. I mean, the sun is, gives us sustenance and is the symbol of joy. So when I look at the sun and I feel this warmth, I feel that sense of fulfillment, of complete joy that I am. So you see, this is how then the more that we do an exercise like this, the more we bring ourselves into that state of our soul, of our purity. And the state of enlightenment is when we always live in these pure soul essences. And even though there might be things going on around us, that are a bit chaotic, we will always know this. So of course, when we're beginning and we are still we are still undergoing the process of soul integration, then this is not going to be our constant state. But that's why these kind of exercises of grounding, they help us to for ourselves to remember. And so the more that we do them, and we ourselves remember what we are, and then the more that we can bring it into the physical as well. So try and hold it, after 5 minutes of doing this exercise with your eyes closed, then at least 2 more minutes. Try and have that same relationship once you open your eyes with what you see in front of you in the physical as well. See if your relationship with those things, like even when I see people passing by, can you just see them for the soul essence that they are, rather than all of those external things that we are so used to associating with the moment that we come across anything in creation. So this is a very simple exercise. When you try it, it gets quite simple. And now I'm going to move back in front of the camera, because for some reason it keeps skipping, and then I don't know when it stopped recording, so I had to stand next to the camera just to check. And then the other 2 suggestions that I want to give you are that you can try the same thing within relationships. So for example, through your day, when you meet somebody, let's say your co-workers or the people that you live with, whatever interactions you have with them, try and, as they are happening in your life, set aside a time in the day like for example, say that the next 10 minutes I'm just going to, no matter what I'm doing, whatever activity I'm doing, I'm just going to tap into the core soul essence, and I'm going to name the feelings that I'm feeling. So whenever your partner is speaking to you, whatever emotions are coming up, just name them and then move deeper and deeper into the core. You can do this even while you are talking to them, you're doing whatever you're doing in your everyday life, and you will see it gets easier with time. So this is great because our relationships with other people are also a reflection of what we hold inside. So whether we are attaching to certain emotions or the purity that we feel for them, the love, all of that is shown to us and is mirrored to us. So again, we, through these exercises, then we become more self-aware and we connect with our inner state. So again, you can set aside 10 minutes of your day and do this with your relationships. And this is great because the first one was more a meditation where you're closing your eyes with focused intention, and the second one is more you're just living your life and you're kind of doing a walking meditation. And then the third thing that I want to mention, for those who find it hard to meditate or to ground, is especially if you're very, very hyper, you're one of those people who has many thoughts and you're kind of overactive, let's say, or your imagination is overactive, then channel this into creativity. So let's say you're one of those, when you close your eyes and you start to meditate, you can't convince yourself, why am I doing this? There's no purpose to this. I'm just sitting with my eyes closed, nothing's happening. If that's how you feel, then a good thing to start with is to channel it creatively. So just when you wake up in the day, again, have dedicate like 10 minutes to a creative activity, whatever that might be. It can be any activity of your choosing, whether you like to draw or you like to write poetry, or even if some people will say, I don't have any creative talent, which is not true, of course, but some people tend to think this, then even then you can write a paragraph, so just write a paragraph about the various thoughts that are running through your mind. They will all correlate to a feeling within, and then just connect to your heart and write or draw or paint, dance, whatever it might be. Use that core feeling and then do that activity, because when we create something, that is also a reflection of what is within. So for example, I remember that quite a few years ago, when my ascension process was starting, I was going through this healing phase, and I remember that I just felt this overwhelming urge to draw, and I picked up a pencil and a pen and I drew this girl, and she was crying, and she had her hand on her heart, and it was just this deep sense of emotion of release, and I never drew before that. I never used to draw, but I just had to, because it was how I was feeling, and it was right there in front of me to see on paper, something that perhaps I wasn't acknowledging to myself otherwise. So that's one example. It might start with something that is more healing, but then when you keep doing it, it'll bring up different things. Suddenly you might move into you might find yourself drawing something that has to do with your soul qualities. And that's how we actually channel soul art as well. Whatever we are creating, it is actually a reflection of our soul, and this is how the soul reveals itself to us. Our higher qualities come through this way as well. So just try all of these different suggestions that I've given you. Just be sure that you are dedicated to this, because the thing about grounding is that if you're feeling ungrounded, what's most important is that you give yourself that time, to sit down, to really, don't make it for like meditation for 1 hour, because that's going to be not as easy in the beginning, and perhaps it's not even necessary. Just have a shorter period of time, begin with something shorter, and just make sure that you do it though. And let me know if you try any of these exercises, how they worked for you, and if you found anything challenging within them, just let me know as well. And that's pretty much it. Just a quick reminder again is that all of October I have a discount on my personal services, so 50% flat, 50% off on the second service. So just have a look at my blog. It'll be below this video. It's at www.livingourascension.blogspot.com. And that's it from me. I'll see you very soon in the next video.